Now, joining us on the program right now, very pleased to have with us New Jersey firearms attorney Evan Nappen. Evan, good evening, sir.
Hey, Cam, hello.
Great to have you on the show tonight.
Oh, I love going on your show, Cam.
Well, congratulations. It's been a couple of weeks since we've talked about your client, Brian Aitken, but the story has really found its legs nationwide. The Philadelphia Daily News ran a story yesterday. I saw it got picked up by Drudge Report. I've seen a lot of people talking about this today. In the case of Mr. Aitken, appears to be getting into the public conscious.
It really has, and I'm so happy about that because we're now going down two roads to save him. One is, of course, the appeal, which in theory shouldn't be influenced in any way by the media, but the other is the clemency to get his sentence commuted, and that's where the difference can really come in because we really, really want the governor to commute his sentence. Brian Aitken should not be in jail. He shouldn't be convicted of this offense either, but at least it is absolutely reasonable and within the governor's power to grant him that commutation, and at least he should do that. And, then I'm confident that we will be victorious on the appeal because it is an outrage. And Americans are seeing that, and the national coverage that it's getting has been really wonderful because, any rational person looks at this and goes, this is crazy. And it really, I guess if there's any, silver lining here is that, Brian's sacrifice and what he's suffering through now hopefully will get us even, reforms in the law, and it highlights the problems that, Cam, you and I have talked about for years in New Jersey. This is just so extreme and draconian that it is, raising that conscious level throughout the country. And New Jersey has got to change its laws.
This is how bad New Jersey gun laws are, Evan. Even the gun control advocates can't tell you what they are.
Right.
I looked at this story in the Philadelphia Daily News yesterday. There's a quote from Brian Miller, who's the executive director of Ceasefire New Jersey, who trying to do his best to make Mr. Aitken appear to be unsympathetic. And he said, quote, "A person with common sense would not be moving illegal products from one place to another by car. If Mr. Aitken did the research he said he did, he would not have hollow point bullets and large capacity magazines in the vehicle. They are illegal, period." Not so much, as I understand it, Evan.
That's right. And we were able to show to the jury that the exemptions apply, and there are serious factual questions as to whether these were even large capacity magazines, because New Jersey's gun laws and requirements are so convoluted. Look, I've just gotten a number of issues where the state police, the firearms unit, have stated that certain guns were not assault firearms. Then they end up being sold not as assault, and then they change their opinion, and suddenly they are now assault. Well, they can't even tell. They don't even know. And that's because it's so poorly worded. And then you combine really why this is really a perfect storm for injustice and the problems that gun control causes for law-abiding citizens. New Jersey's gun laws are exemption-based, so you are guilty till you prove yourself innocent, even as a law-abiding citizen. The burden's always on you to show you're within an exemption. And then the penalty, if you're convicted, is draconian. The penalty for a mere technical unlawful possession. We're not talking about somebody who unlawfully used it, who had any intent to unlawfully use it,
right,
or any aggravating factor whatsoever. And that person with no prior offenses is forced into a 10-year maximum sentence with a presumptive 7 years and a minimum mandatory 3 to 5 years where there is no discretion on the part of the judge when it comes to the sentence. None.
And Evan, I remember you talking about this a couple of years ago. when the New Jersey gun laws were changed and made more restrictive.
That's right, Cam.
And you said that this was going to happen.
I did, Cam. I said, Cam, I remember saying, changing the law to a second-degree offense was going to be extremely serious. And then to see, when you see this kind of injustice where a judge refuses to give the jury the law so that the jury can determine the facts. Now, I am very confident, and we made a really strong case. We put 3 witnesses forward about he was in the process of moving. There was physical evidence of his car with his belongings, and his clothing and everything that he was moving. It's all there in evidence for moving. The state has the audacity to claim he wasn't moving. Well, you know what? The state can claim that if they want, if that's their flawed theory. Mm-hmm. But you know who's supposed to decide that? The Constitution says that Brian Aitken has a right for the jury to decide that, and the judge has to give the law. And here the judge refused to give the law of the exemption, even with the jury asking 3 times themselves to learn what the exemptions were.
Yeah, and he was interviewed for this story in the Daily News, and he says, my recollection of the case is that I ruled that he had not presented evidence sufficient to justify giving the jury the charge on the affirmative offense that he was in the process of moving. Now, as you said, though, Evan, you had witnesses that were testifying, yep, he was moving.
There not only was sufficient evidence, but the jury was begging for the law because they had to weigh that evidence. And what's more, think about that statement made by the judge. Right there, it shows the error that he made because he is making a fact determination, not a law determination.
Mm-hmm.
He says his opinion of the facts. That has no place. Give them the law. If the jury had considered this law and considered the facts with the law given by the judge, we wouldn't even be talking now, because I know we would have been victorious. No question whatsoever. But that didn't happen, and that was the due process violation that occurred. And it shows you how scary it is because, Cam, virtually every gun owner in New Jersey, with the exception of the elite class that may have a license to carry, and as you know, in New Jersey, it's a shall not issue license.
Yeah.
If you don't have that carry license, then every single possessor of a handgun in New Jersey possesses by way of the exemptions, even if they have it in their home. That home exemption is the same subsection that Brian Aitken relied upon for moving between residences. And if you get a judge that doesn't give the jury the law, you're looking at 7 years presumptive and a minimum mandatory 3 to 5. This isn't, me being hyperbolic or
no. There's a guy behind prison bars
well,
tonight who shouldn't be there.
There's a real guy in jail right now in state prison for this.
Evan, I'll be honest with you. This has actually impacted me. My dad lives in New Jersey. My dad has a couple of guns that he's had since he was a kid. He asked me a couple of months ago if I wanted to get them, and at the time I said, yeah. Since the Brian Aitken story has come out, I've not had a chance to see my dad since then. I'm going to be going up there probably at some point next month. I'll be really honest with you, Evan. I don't know, if I pick up my my dad's old shotgun, and I think he's got an old .22 rifle, if I put those in a locked compartment and they're unloaded and they're in the trunk of my car and I'm driving back to Virginia and I get pulled over for whatever reason in New Jersey, I'm a little worried that I'll go to prison for 7 years, Evan.
Well, you would, because you just made, an unlawful transfer since he couldn't transfer them to you unless you are licensed in New Jersey on the transfer. And as a non-resident, you have the federal issue as well, but New Jersey penalties will be even more severe. And then your transport of them, where you're going from one place where you lawfully could possess and carry to another to even seek the federal protection? No. And so then you would be faced with having to make an exemption argument, but you're not moving between residences. So even though here's a perfectly innocent transaction of a father giving his son firearms with no unlawful intent, no, you're not going to do anything wrong with them. These are things in your family. None of that would matter, Cam, and you could face the very same problems. And this goes on and on and on with New Jersey's gun owners turning honest citizens into criminals. And, man, every book I've written, and all the articles, and every time I say this is what New Jersey does, and, Aitken's case just highlights it. This has got to stop. It's got to change.
Absolutely, it does. And I'm glad that I actually brought that up. I may have to put you on retainer before I go visit my father.
The thing to do is have your dad bring them to a dealer and have the dealer ship them to a dealer in your state.
All right.
And that's I know it's a little more.
I will tell my 84-year-old father who has bad knees and doesn't walk so well that he's got to go down to the nearest gun store, which is probably Queso's Gunarama, which is probably about an hour away from and I know that my dad and Frank would get along great, but Dad doesn't get around so well these days.
Yeah, I don't really want to see the Free Cam Edwards Facebook page.
No, I don't really either. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm happy to talk about Brian Aitken's case, but
right.
And so Evan, I mean, you saw this story kind of blow up in the media yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
What has been the result, and what can people do?
Well, the result has been, I think my ear actually hurts from talking to so many media outlets, but I'm proud to do it.
That's good.
And it's just, going viral, and just everybody needs to know about this. New Jersey has to be exposed. You've done a fantastic job with NRA News, and the folks that listen to your show understand it. But the hard part is getting to the other people that won't believe it. They just don't get it, and they're the ones that are the hardest to reach. And I think we're maybe actually reaching them too, and having them see the light.
I hope so. And you're right. I mean, a lot of times on this program, we'll talk about something, and then a week or two later, I won't even say a lot of times, sometimes we'll talk about a story, and a week or two later, the rest of the media takes notice and says, oh, this really is interesting. And I'm really glad that the Brian Aitken story is one of these stories because, for this to be an NRA News exclusive, that doesn't help Brian Aitken out.
Well, the fact is, it's an NRA News scoop. You were the first. You were the first to broadcast about it from really the beginning.
And that's great, but you know what? I want to be the first broadcaster to say Brian Aitken was released from prison today. That's what I want to be the first to do.
I'm also proud to say that NRA has helped fund, through the Legal Defense Fund, Brian Aitken. And NRA has been there for Brian Aitken through this whole process. And listeners need to know that.
Absolutely.
NRA is standing behind Brian and helping him, and that's a great thing.
It's one of the now this is being funded through the Civil Rights Defense Fund, right?
Yes, from the initial phase. And now, we're looking as well on the appeal, and I'm sure that NRA is, I'm confident that, the significance of this case, it meets the criteria. And NRA has done wonders helping to fund cases, hundreds of cases through the Civil Rights Fund, Defense Fund, helping to not just help people like Brian Aitken, but to create law that affects thousands of gun owners and has effect across the board.
Absolutely. Well, I hope that the media attention continues, Evan. I hope that by this time tomorrow, both of your ears are sore. I hope that your throat hurts. I hope that you sound like you've got laryngitis, and it's all because you've been doing so many interviews about this.
It's true, and it's good because the message is getting out there, and I'm hopeful the pressure and that the governor does the right thing. That's the most important initial thing we need done now. We have a rally coming up on the 12th for Brian Aitken in Toms River. There'll be a rally there to support him and to fight for more attention to his cause. It's been great. Actually, I'm going to be doing on the media the Armed American show on Sunday. He's a friend of yours.
Oh, excellent. Mark Walters.
Mark Walters.
Very nice.
With him. We're going to do a good show there. Yeah, good guy. Also, just as concerned about this situation. I mean, it is, but it does really highlight what we've talked about for years. And folks that may read it, something I go, there has to be more to this. This can't be true. Let me tell you, folks, it's true.
In fact,
there is nothing more to it.
No, the thing is,
it's what it is.
The more you learn about it, the more egregious it becomes.
That's right. And blood boiling and going, how can this happen in America? But, New Jersey has always been, I guess the best expression was when Pennsylvania put up their signs, America starts here, and they put them on the borders. It was kind of a warning, so.
All right, well, December 12th, the Toms River, let's have you back on before that rally.
I'd love to, Cam.
All right.